Hello everybody, it's Glass Half Dead here, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. It's Keyforge, Call of the Archons. Published by Fantasy Flight Games, its big selling point is that every single deck is completely unique. There will be no double decks in the world, and the way it achieves this is by having no deck building in the game. You purchase a deck, and that is your deck. You are never allowed to change it. Each deck comes with an ID key that whenever you go to a tournament, you scan your deck's ID, and therefore it knows exactly the cards that you should have in your deck. It's a very interesting take on card games. However, how does it actually play? Well, I'm not going to do a full rundown of how the game plays for you. I think the best way to find that out is by checking out some Team Covenant videos. They've done a very nice few Let's Plays of it. I would recommend going and checking them out. But then the second way of finding out is going and buying a deck. A single deck costs, I think, £8. And that's all you need to play the game. However, if you want to go a little bit heavier into the game, you can get this starter set. This starter set comes with everything you need to play the game. Because yes, this game does have a few tokens. Now, these rules are quick start rules only. The full rule manual with all the little nuances and FAQs and erratas is online. And it's going to be a living document, they say. Here we see there's a whole bunch of tokens. These are amber, which are what you're attempting to collect for the game. These are keys, which you are also trying to collect. There's stuff here. Again, I'm not going to go over how the game is played. Then we have this deck. Now, this is the starter deck. It's two decks, which are supposedly, perfectly balanced, so that anyone picking up the game for the first time can play one or the other, and you won't get completely face rolled, which in theory is a potential possibility, depending on the decks you have. Along with the starter set, you also get just two random decks. And I'm going to do a deck opening for you so that you can see what exactly I mean. You will see on the back here, there are 3 logos with names. These are the houses that your deck is consisting of. In this case, it's Logos, Sanctum, and Untamed. There's another deck in here somewhere that has 3 other houses. We're not going to open that just yet. I'll show you on the decks. On the random decks, I mean. Now, I've actually already played quite a few games of Keyforge. It's a very fast-paced game, and it's very easy and quick to pick up. And I, to be honest, would just thoroughly recommend it. One of the big fun things about Keyforge is finding a house that you like. For example, in Sanctum, one of their defining traits is they have a lot of armor. And armor is a bit of your health that effectively regens every turn. Or maybe Logos. Logos is all about getting a higher card draw, so that, you could just cycle through your deck really fast. I don't know what Untamed does, actually, so I can't really speak to them. But there are other houses like Dis, or is it Nis? Dis? I'm not sure. Which is all about debuffing your opponent. Or there's Shadows, which does only a little bit of damage here and there. But it's about being tricksy and making it hard for the enemy to hit you. Or there's Mars, which has some of the biggest hitters in the game, but there's normally some drawback to using your big hitting guy. Like maybe when you play it, it's stunned for the first turn, so actually you have to use two turns just to get it in the game, and then you can't actually use it till the third turn. It's interesting. It's interesting. So, let's open up one of these decks, and maybe that will teach you a little bit about what this game is. Here we see the 3 different houses that I get. One is Dis, Shadows, and Sanctum. We can see here, that is Sanctum, Dis, Shadows. The big thing here is, again, with the uniqueness, this symbol on the back, this is completely unique to this deck. No other deck in the world will ever have this particular combination of card back. And equally, the name is generated just for me. So Simeon, defender of the austere county, sorry. No, that's a terrible name, obviously. I mean, that's what happens when you have random name generators. But no other deck in the world will be called this. This is my deck. And there's definitely a little, what's the word? Thrill, maybe, about the game. Just because nobody else has this deck. Really interesting. I really like that little aspect to it. For anybody that watches my channel regularly, I'm a big fan of Kill Team. And Kill Team is all about your guys, making them your guys, as opposed to the faceless hordes of 40k. And this is very, very similar. There's no net decking. There's no deck building at all, in fact. This is your deck. And here we see Hectovaria, the empiricist of trinkets. Exciting stuff, right? And we see this one is Brobnar, Mars, and Logos. Obviously, these two decks came from the Call of the Archons Keyforge starter box, which you probably should get just because it gives you all of your tokens that you need here, which is pretty useful. But if you've played any other card game, you probably have tokens of some sort lying around, and as long as you can distinguish between them, it's all fine. With these two decks, theoretically, this could have cost me like £16, so 2 decks, and I'm ready to play the game. This is the game. Me and my opponent would have a completely unique experience playing these two decks against each other. One of them might be a great deck, one of them might be a terrible deck. There's no way of knowing until you play. They're just good fun, if I'm honest. I don't really know how else to sell this game to you without just showing you, hey, this is good fun. But I suppose whilst we're here, we'll have a quick look at the deck lists on the back. Now you see we do have a rarity symbol here. I believe Circle is common, Diamond is uncommon, and Star is rare. I also think that in general, you're meant to have at least 1 rare per faction in the deck. But I can't actually see a rare for Shadows there. But you see in this one we have 3 rares in Logos. And then we have 2 rares in Brobnar and 1 rare in Mars. So it is, it's all mixed up a bit. Shall we take a look at this deck? Okay, did you like that small cut I made? Because that was about 4 minutes of me faffing around. I don't know the cards well enough to really jump in there and say, oh, I've got that and I've got that and that's a great artifact and that's a great blah, blah, blah. But there are certain cards that when you get good at the game, you want to look for. And you say, oh, I've got that. Okay, that means I can do X. Or you can look at your opponent's deck and in tournament say, oh, I see they've got the, whatever, Tunk. I know that Tunk does this. That means I, can expect X to happen. Whatever it is. So, for fun, let's just go through and look at the rare cards, because they may be fun. Also, when you open this deck for the first time, it will all be in this order. So I know that my first rare is going to be Phylex the Disintegrator. Does he do anything interesting? Elusive, which means the first turn this creature is attacked each turn, no damage is dealt. Then for an action, your opponent loses 1 ember for each other friendly Mars creature. That's quite nice. Very painful for the enemy if you're going with a heavy Mars deck. You might want to look at this card and to find out whether or not this is going to actually be a good card in this deck. You want to see how many other creatures you actually have in the Mars house. Each of your houses come with 12 cards. And they can either be an upgrade, a creature, or an artifact. An artifact is an item that you play and can be used each turn. An upgrade is a single-use artifact, effectively, and a creature is the creature that you play down and it can be used and it has health and damage and all that stuff. So, to find out in this deck whether or not Phylex the Disintegrator is going to be a good card, you generally are going to want to make sure that your Mars has a lot of creatures, or, when looking through the rest of your deck, see if one of your houses has a way to do a lot of recursion, and bring a lot of dead creatures back into your hand. Because obviously card games are all about combos, which is true, and you may then think, but Glass, if card games are all about combos, and this is a card game, and therefore it is all about combos, there's no deck building. How does any combo work? Well, it's a good question. That's all part of the algorithm of Keyforge. It's not 100% random. This list of cards you may get, it's not 100% random. It's been figured out roughly that if you get X card, then you are, likely, not 100% guaranteed, but you are likely to have X card paired with Y card. And if you get Y card, you are likely to get B card. That kind of thing. It's not 100% random, but it is still incredibly random. Okay, let's keep on going and let's take a look at the next rare. So we're over to the Logos house now. Vespilian Theorist is elusive. Reap, choose a house. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it is of that house, archive it and gain 1 amber, otherwise discard it. Going to be reaping with him a lot. Then another rare, Skippy Timehog. That's a weird name. Play. Your opponent cannot use any cards next hand. Ooh, that's very nice. That's very nice. So obviously with this kind of thing, again, you want him to be comboed with a way to take him in and out of your hand constantly. If you have a way of doing that, he will be significantly more effective than a single drop. And then we have Psychic Bug, again, a rare. Play/reap, look at your opponent's hand. Ooh, again, that's pretty nice. Pretty nice. And especially with this one, it's a creature, so you play it like any other. But you see there's a little amber in the top corner, which means every time you play the card, you get amber. Which, if I was teaching you how to play the game, would make a lot of sense. But I'm not. So there you go. And coming up to House Brobnar, yes, it's a weird one. They're orcs. They're the orc house. There you go. The first rare is Rock Hurling Giant. 6, that's a big number. During your turn, each time you discard a Brobnar card from your hand, you may deal 4 damage to a creature. That's very nice. That's very nice. Then we have King of the Crag. 7, that's even bigger. Blimey. Each enemy Brobnar creature gets -2 power. Hold on. Oh, enemy Brobnar. Okay. I was like, wait, does that mean I don't want to play him when I have other Brobnars on the field? But no, it's enemy Brobnar. So obviously that's incredibly situational, but potentially very, very powerful. And here we see Iron Obelisk, which is not only an artifact, but also a rare artifact. Your opponent's keys cost +1 amber for each friendly damaged Brobnar creature. That is potentially game-winning. That's really powerful. That's going to be really good against Shadows or Dis, as they aren't able to do too much damage. And as we see from some of our creatures here, you're generally looking at 5s and 6s, which means you're going to be really difficult to take out by anyone that's not hitting you hard. And finally, let's see what it is. Barehanded, this is an action. Put each artifact on top of its owner's deck. Not exactly overwhelming there. And there you go, guys. That is Keyforge. I think it's a really good fun game. I think it's perfect for killing a bit of time. I think we're going to have to really wait. Oh dear, I've already lost a token. I think we're going to have to really wait to see how the competitive side of it shakes out, because I'm dubious. I'm not sure if it's going to be a go-to competitive game. But I already know that as a filler game, as something that you've got 15 minutes, you want to play a card game, this is amazing. This is a really good game. And they do a lovely 2-player mat as well, or even a single-player mat. But the 2-player mat has places, it's kind of like a training mat, if you will, and it has, place your cards here, place your deck here, place your discard here, creatures go there. And I think that really adds to every game that includes that kind of mat. There you go, everybody. Keyforge, Call of the Archons. Whether you pick up the starter set or you pick up an individual deck, you do you. I think the starter set is good value because you get 2 pre-built decks And then you also get 2 custom decks. And these are your decks, guys. Nobody else will ever have this deck. That's really cool. There you go, everybody. Keyforge Call of the Archons. Check it out. Brilliant filler game. And potentially, maybe in the future, will also be a really strong competitive game. But we don't know that yet. Anyway, this is Glass Half Dead. This has been my unboxing / mini review, without telling you how to play the game, of Keyforge Call of the Archons. Check it out. I hope you've all had a great day and continue to have one. Glass Half Dead, logging out.